Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 106th episode of Don't Forget the Popcorn. Today, I'm doing a request from a great subscriber, Marlon Bellamy. Today, we're reviewing Just Another Girl on the IRT, 1992, directed by Leslie Harris. Now, I saw this movie when I was very young, and I actually watched it a few years ago before I watched it again for this review. Now, just because I've seen it multiple times doesn't mean I love this movie, because I have an interesting relationship with this movie. I saw it when I was like 5 or something, and something happens in it, and I never ever forgot it. Now, I'm going to spoil some things in this review, so if you haven't seen it, come back to it after you watch it. This movie is free on YouTube. This is a simple movie. A young black girl gets pregnant in high school. But my lord, is so much more than that. This movie brings up a lot of things, and a lot of things that black people were and still are going through. I'm not going to go through this movie scene by scene, and honestly, the way I'm about to review this is going to be a little bit different than I normally do. I'm going to break this down by kind of highlighting all the mistakes that the lead character does, because I'm just going to lay this out right now. I couldn't stand her at all. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like the movie, because I do appreciate a lot about it. It's a super 90s, low budget, has some pretty bad acting and some questionable editing choices, but it's pretty well written and very accurate to the times. The best part about this movie is the black 90s setting in New York. The accents, the outfits, the music, it's all great. Just a cool time I feel like it was to be a teenager. I envy the people who grew up then. I was right behind them. So I got the remains. I love that New York setting. Riding the subway, going to bodegas, the graffiti, and just seeing all kinds of different people. I always envy people who grew up in New York City in the 90s. It seemed like a concrete playground. So much to do and explore, but so much to be fearful of as well. People from New York have an edge to them that maybe only people from Philly have. Our lead is all of that. Super New York attitude, exaggerated accent, and her look is all the way there. She doesn't listen or take advice from anyone, and it comes to bite her in the ass. She is very smart, though. She's one of the best students in her school. Now, for a girl who's so book smart, she has zero common sense. I mean, this chick was a mess. Chantel is rude, disrespectful, cusses out adults, and thinks she really does know everything. And man, I really didn't realize just how much she bothered me in this movie. Much more than the crazy shit she does at the end. Everything is cool, though, for the most part with Chantel at first. I mean, she's just a regular teenager. This is a coming of age story at the end of the day. We see her working at her after school job at the bodega, going to parties, hanging with friends, dating boys, normal stuff a 17-year-old girl would do. She's strong on her convictions and is outspoken advocate for the plight of blacks. Her ideals are in the right place, but she goes about doing it wrong, which is pretty much her in this whole damn movie. Now, I do have a little sympathy for her, as she does lead a life tons of black teens live. She's growing up in the projects with two parents who work all the time, and she's responsible for taking care of her brothers pretty often. Her parents hate each other. They give her no freedom. She has to beg to do anything after she maintains pretty good grades, takes care of her brothers, and has a job. What more do you want from a teenage kid? Now, don't let the good resume fool you. Chantel is absolutely horrible. I think this movie, on some real, is a guide of how not to live your life as a young black girl. Chantel's dating Gerard, a boy who lives in her building. He's actually a pretty nice guy, even though the actor is god awful. He really does love Chantel. And let's face it, most would say she's out of his leagues in the looks department. And a man as young as him doesn't have the resources to attract a woman besides looks and game, which he really lacked on both ends. He made up for this with nice gestures and kind words. She was his world and willing to do anything for her. And this woman treats this dude like shit. She disses him in public, lies to him all the time, and looks down on him for everything he isn't instead of seeing everything that he is. No, I'm not saying he's a catch, but there's no reason to treat the man this way. Gerard takes her to a party, and man, she literally dances with every Tom, Dick, and Harry except him. disses him publicly, and leaves with another man named Ty, who has a 1992 Jeep and is super tall. Draw didn't have a chance after that. She's young, so I get it. She's attracted to the flash, the money, potential, especially being a girl from the projects. She was an opportunistic. She saw a shot and took it. Now, of course, we know she gets pregnant. Ty has been whining and dining her for a while, and let's face it, he wants to get up in them draws. When they have sex, she tells him she just started taking the pill and told him to use a condom. In her defense, she was quite insistent in wearing one, but he guilted her and pushed her into not wearing one, and she fell for the bait. I'll say this. It is Ty's fault she got pregnant. He ignored her and what she said and just went for it and clearly didn't pull out in time. If a girl tells you to wear a rubber, wear it. Besides, man, this is the early 90s when HIV was running rampant in New York. There's actually a scene where she is speaking with her girlfriends and they discuss many misguided and false thoughts on HIV and how you get it. It's a funny yet sad conversation. I love the scene because it shows you not only the times, but how teens can be so ignorant and careless about things. I mean, we've all been there in one way or another. Now, Ty and Chantel are pretty much dating now, and she thinks she's all that for having him. He doesn't live in the projects, he's got a car, good looking in her opinion. Now, she starts on the right foot when she finds out she's pregnant. She goes to the doctor, seeks counseling, starts to prepare to tell Ty. The doctor informs her that a termination is illegal after 24 weeks, so she thinks she has plenty of time, which we all know 25 weeks will go by like that. This is when she really lets the fangs out. She tells Ty, and of course, he's not cool about it at first. Now, after she's pregnant, is when her true colors come out. One of the main themes of this movie is living in denial. Chantel lives in denial the whole fucking movie. She has far-fetched dreams, and on top of that, this woman refuses to believe that she is actually pregnant, even though she clearly knows she is. As a result, this woman's behavior puts so many people in jeopardy. Ty is willing to pay for the termination, but she doesn't know what she wants. Now, I'll highlight this. I think it is important that a woman chooses what she wants to do with her own body. She's got to carry it, so it's her choice. I have no problem that she wants to weigh out her options, but the way she goes about this is insane. She lies to everyone about what's going on. Her friends who she's been neglecting, Ty, her parents, everyone. She hides this pregnancy, buying big clothes, throwing away food in the house, and avoiding anything that has to do with having the child. No prenatal care, no doctor visits, proper diet, nothing. All of this to me just showed the immaturity that she really had. She thought she was mature enough to go to college early, yet she couldn't even make a decision in 25 weeks of what she wants to do. Ty just wants to know what is going on so he can prepare and get his life in order. He gives her $500 for the termination process, and instead of using it on that or just returning it to him and telling him she's going to keep it, she spends it on a shopping spree with her friend and then avoids him for 2 weeks. Then, when he finally catches up with her, she tells him, well, the money is gone and it's too late for the termination anyway. Whew. I must say, I was done with this girl at this point. I mean, we haven't even discussed the worst thing she does, but up to now, she's played Gerard, lied to her friends, stole Ty's money, and now has put herself, her baby, and her baby's father in a tight position by not taking the proper steps during the pregnancy. Well, it all gets worse. While at Ty's house, Chantel goes into labor prematurely. I'm sure her not properly taking care of things has something to do with it. Well, what does this woman do? She refuses Ty to take her to the hospital. She refuses Ty to call the ambulance. And she has the baby right there in his house. Well, she doesn't want the baby. So what does this woman do? She forces Ty to take that baby and put it in the fucking trash. Bro, what the hell? I never ever forgot this as a kid. I never understood why. This movie has kind of sat with me my whole life. Seeing something like that at a young age plays with your mind a little bit. I knew, even at that age, that it was wrong. This woman is honestly pure evil. She does nothing in this movie to make her redeemable. Not one thing. I mean, she's a total asshole to everyone in her life. It's just crazy to me that a mother, after birthing her child, wouldn't even want to look at it, hold it. You just want to throw it away? I just feel like most women love and cherish their kids, even if they aren't in a position to help or take care of them. Only a child themselves would do something like this. She was too young to be pregnant, too immature. She could have had the baby at the hospital and gave it up for adoption. She could have took better care of herself so the baby could go to term. She could have told her parents and did the right thing for her mental health so she could have had the healthiest baby possible. But no, this child had a child and acted like a child. I mean, she put Ty's freedom at risk by asking him to do that to the baby. That's a freaking crime. Who's that selfish? I'm sorry, but I think this movie shows us why teens should not have kids. A 17-year-old's job is going to school, hanging with your friends, learning lessons for the futures, not raising a kid while you're still being raised yourself. This girl lived in an immature world of denial and delusion, and she isn't nearly as smart as she thinks. Luckily, Ty actually steps up after the pregnancy, and he couldn't leave the baby in the trash and ends up bringing it back. They do the right thing and decide to keep the baby. Well, all it shows you is you shouldn't have a baby as a kid. The baby is constantly sick, likely due to prematurity. So it's expensive. She lives in her tiny little apartment in the projects with her mom, her two brothers, her dad, and a newborn baby. Ty sold his Jeep to pay for the baby's bills. And guess what? They aren't together. She goes to community college, not a traditional 4 year she planned to. I mean, this movie ends bleak as fuck, and it just shows us the cycle that can keep black people stuck in the projects. Hopefully, this woman can better herself in her situation. I don't know if she will, honestly. Based on her character, I can't say that I have faith in her. The thing I do like about this movie is how honestly real it is. This happens all the time in the hood. It's not stuff you want to hear about. I mean, there are high schools around here with daycares in them. I think every young teen girl should watch this movie once. It's got lessons all throughout. But this is not one of my favorite hood movies, if we can even call it that. I respect its significance, its message, and how this director got a lot out of a little. It's got a fun little early 90s vibe, but it's definitely not a movie you watch over and over. It's one of those watch every 5 to 10 years. If you haven't seen it, watch it, but don't go into this looking for high production value or good acting. But the story is strong, so it makes all the flaws easy to overlook. I'm going to give Just Another Girl on the IRT a 6.6 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for watching my Just Another Girl on the IRT review. Let me know if there's a film or topic you'd like me to review. Like and subscribe, it helps me out. Follow me on Letterboxd, Ralph Vader. I'll link that below. I got a podcast with my buddy. I'll link that below as well for more movie content. I will be back next week. And don't forget the popcorn. It's holiday time, baby.